All right, here we go, functions. This is week 5, almost getting into that test week. Monday, we're going to start off with our lower body mobility and muscle awareness kind of section. So, we're going to start with our hamstring activation, 30 to 60 seconds. So, you can see that the volumes or the hold is a little higher than usual. So, trying to get more time, more endurance in that muscle, trying to kind of get away or avoid those cramps as we try to hold these positions. Again, we want to try to keep the contraction at like a 4 or 5 out of 10, so it's not super intense at first, so that you can build a little bit more endurance at it. But trying to go for a longer duration compared to what we started with in the beginning of the cycle. 3 sets per side, 30 to 60-second hamstring contraction. And then we're going to go part B, figure eights, hip figure eights from a side position. So we're challenging it. Now we're doing it a figure eight shape instead of a circle. So it's going to take some more timing, more coordination. We're going to see more brain activation happen. So now that it's a little bit more novel, you might notice that your body actually feels a little bit better after it, because sometimes what our body actually thrives for is more of a unique kind of novel experience when doing movements. So if you've always done circles, figure eights are going to add a little bit of a challenge. Obviously, you're going to be thinking about how to do it, but our part of our brain called the cerebellum is going to activate a little bit more that deals with accuracy, balance, and stability here. So it'll be a really good skill to work on. And then we're going to combine those two movements together. So hip joint, hamstrings. Let's get it into a weighted lunge now. 3 sets of 5 per side with a tough progression. We can use a weight if we want, or maybe you're working towards actually getting a body weight lunge today. So just find something that's going to be tough for you, to do 3 sets of 5 reps per side. After we're done, the strength skill, our workout's a quick one. This one's for time, 10 minutes, 21, 18, 15 of calorie row and dual dumbbell thrusters. This one is going to be more of an anaerobic stimulus. So we want to choose progressions today that we can kind of move a little bit more with intensity. They'll still keep our technique in form. So you should feel kind of the lungs working hard in this one. Um, when you're done this workout, you're just like on the floor and you need a break. Like you can't kind of get up and just walk it out. So that's the stimulus we're trying to look for today, or a challenging stimulus where you're breathing heavy. So the 21 of the calorie row and the 21 dual dumbbell thrusters, those movements really jack up the heart rate. So challenge yourself with that, but make sure you're choosing weights that allow you to move well too as well. And you're going at a speed that you're controlled with. So we don't want to lose their technique and their form to sacrifice it just to go fast. So make sure you're keeping that in mind in today's workout. I would say probably going to be around like 5 to 8 minutes, I'm going to guess, around this workout. Shouldn't take you necessarily the whole 10 minutes, but that is there. But 5 to 8 minutes, I would say, is kind of the average for this. Same concept, but Wednesday it's going to be upper body. So we're going to hit a lat activation, 30 to 60 seconds per side. Scapula circles from a back position. So where our arm is in that kind of position where we would be when we do like a pull up and we're at the bottom of the pull up. That's shoulder extension. That's the position we're going to be doing our shoulder circles from. And like always, you're going to put these into some kind of a compound movement, being the bench press. So kind of putting all those muscles and those joints into some kind of functional motion, being the bench press. We do 3 sets of 5, and we want to do a tough progression of that, just like the lunge we did on Monday. So we've been doing this a few times throughout the cycle. We want to just make sure we choose something we have good techniquing form with, and if that's sound, then we can bump up the weight. Then our workout is going to be more about that body weight, gymnastics, strength, and endurance. We're doing 3 rounds for time of 10 ring rows, 20 push-ups, 30 air squats. This should look very similar. If you guys remember intro class number 1, half Sydney, we did 5 ring rows, 10 push-ups, and 15 air squats. So same idea, but this is kind of boosted up a little bit more reps per set, and we're just doing 3 rounds for time. 15-minute caps, so that means about 5 minutes per round to get this one done. If you get into the third round and you're working your way through it and the time cap's expired, you're still getting the right stimulus out of this workout. So as long as it's a good challenge and you challenge yourself with these ring rows and push-ups and even the squats, where you're doing them in about 2 to 4 sets, then you know you're getting the right stimulus out of this. If you knock through these and do them unbroken, then it's going to look like a little bit of a different workout. I want you guys to get a little bit of a strength stimulus. And to do that, we want to choose progressions that you kind of have to take a break. And so keep that in mind when you do today's workout. Into Thursday's work, vision and balance training. As always, let's start with kind of figuring out where our balance baseline is. So we're just going to play around with different stances, explore a little bit. And then our part B is going to look a little different. We're actually going to move our head. And let's say like I move my head to the left. I'm going to hold that. And then with my eyes in that position, I'm going to look to the left while my head is to the left for 15 seconds. And then again, while my head is to the left, I'm going to try looking up for 15 seconds, down for 15, and then to the right 15. Then I'm going to do that with my head to the right, head up, and head down. Okay, so each position of my head is going to have 4 different eye positions. We're going to do about 15 seconds of each eye position. Just notice how that balance gets feels different once our eyes start moving and our head starts moving at the same time. And the purpose of this is to start training that balance. So expect some instability. You're going to wobble. You might kind of have to take a step and then regroup again. That's okay. The goal is for that to happen. If it's not happening and you're very still, obviously you're not going to be improving from that. So goal is to work up to being stable, but we want to introduce that kind of wobbly feeling and where you kind of have to fight for it. That's where we're getting the training done. So don't be frustrated if you have to like break it up. That's okay. That is the point with that stuff. Same idea we're going to do with VORs. So these are where we're moving our head, but our eyes are staying still. We're going to do 8 different directions where we keep our head still, and we're going to go side to side. We're going to go up and down, and then in all the diagonals, which should be 8 different directions that we're moving our head from. We're going to do about 10 in each one, and then kind of give ourselves like 20, 30 seconds rest between those kind of positions that we work. We're going to do the reset drill for the eyes to finish off because those are pretty intensive eye workouts. And then we're going to go into our workout. This is going to be a midline shoulder stability workout. So our core is going to be worked, and we're going to work on shoulder stability, which is awesome. All of us need kind of better function and control the shoulder. So 5 rounds for time in 15 minutes, 6 sets of 25 feet sections of single arm farmer's carry, 4 25 feet sections of single arm overhead dumbbell carry, and then 2 sets of 25 feet walking lunges or 10 lunges. So the goal is in these 5 rounds, we're trying to get at least 80% done, I would say. So try to get to the 4th round, maybe start the 5th. This is to work on our core, our stability, and our shoulder overhead stability as well, since we got that farmer's carry and the overhead position. Make sure you choose something that's challenging for you. So it's okay if you're like a little bit off balance or you have to fight hard to keep the arm straight. We do want that, like I said, with the balance in the beginning. That's going to help us get stronger. Last day of the week, we got our Saturday workout. We're going to do our breathing skill kind of primer. We're going to get our diaphragm stretches in, make sure we're nice and mobile through our diaphragm so we're breathing well. 1 set of air hunger walking, 1 set of air hunger jumping jacks, and then 1 set of air hunger squats. Again, using it as a warm-up to get our breathing patterns fired up, helping kind of balance some of the chemistry of in our brain of what we feel and where the activations happen. So when you guys are doing air hunger drills, what's happening is that CO2 is kind of building up. And what that does is it kind of increases a little bit more of the blood vessel size. And when that happens, we're getting a little bit more blood flow. Okay, kind of think of like the garden hose is a little bit bigger and there's more water flow happening through it. The critical thing is like once you finish your set of air hunger, you're taking 2 really calm breaths to get out of it. Because if you do kind of panic, it's going to cause those blood vessels to actually constrict and get the reverse effect. So there is control in this. There's a lot of benefit from this. Even like if you kind of struggle with your endurance, you kind of find like maybe even stress kind of gets to you a little bit easier. Air hunger is actually a really good way because it helps you ground yourself and get a little bit more control of your breath. Because it gets uncomfortable when you can't breathe. So the way of like reacting to that and actually calming yourself down is a way of training that in a cool way. And also you're getting better endurance and better breathing patterns doing that. So fun little way to get prepped, 3 sets of that. So a little bit more than usual. And then we got our 6-round steady pace kind of workout. So 1 minute row, 1 minute med ball clean to shoulder, 1 minute assault bike, 1 minute of skipping, and 1 minute no push-up burpees, all with the intention of just kind of working on our aerobic system. So this should be a workout where we're challenged by the breathing and the cardiovascular side of things than we are about the strength. So this one, again, steady pace, nasal breathing in this one. Really try to keep that steady pace where if you do focus on nasal breathing, it will allow you to do that and it will force you to do that. If you feel like you start breathing through your mouth, you're probably going a little too fast. Not a wrong thing. It's just we want to find a steady pace, and this is a good way to kind of help you have some boundaries with that. Overall, again, this is the last week of the cycle. We're going to go into our test week next week, so we'll look forward to that. Have a good one, guys.